The universe does not grant wishes, it responds to the architect within you. The Master Key reveals the ancient knowledge of reality engineering, how to mold energy into form, dreams into reality. The question is no longer when your desires will manifest, but how you will create them. Are you ready to unlock the blueprint of your destiny? Introduction. The universe operates through an intricate system of laws, as precise and unwavering as the mathematics that govern the stars. Yet most walk through life unaware of the magnificent power they hold, the power to shape reality itself through the blueprint of their consciousness. Think of your mind as an architect's table, where every thought sketches the foundation of your future experiences. The world you perceive is not a random collection of events thrust upon you by chance. Rather, it is a masterful reflection of your inner landscape, manifesting with perfect precision according to the designs you have, consciously or unconsciously, put forth. The ancient masters understood this truth. They recognized that the external world mirrors the internal with flawless accuracy. Every circumstance, every encounter, every moment of triumph or challenge emerges from the blueprint you carry within. This is not metaphor or wishful thinking. It is the fundamental mechanism of creation itself. You have been taught to view yourself as a passive participant in life's grand theater, responding to events as they unfold before you. This perspective has kept you bound to the illusion of powerlessness, searching outside yourself for answers that have always resided within. The time has come to awaken to your true nature as a conscious reality architect. Within these pages lies the sacred knowledge of reality engineering, wisdom that has been guarded and preserved through generations. These teachings reveal how thoughts crystallize into form, how emotions generate the energy of manifestation, and how consciousness itself is the foundation of all creation. As you journey through this text, you will discover the tools to redraw your reality's blueprint. You will learn to harness the universal building blocks of creation, allowing you to construct your world with intention and precision. This is the art and science of conscious reality creation, your birthright as a divine creator in human form. Part 1. Awakening to the Architect Code. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Passive Attraction. In the mountains of ancient Persia lived a young man named Adil, who had received a prophecy from a wandering sage. The prophecy spoke of great wealth and prosperity that would come to him in his 30th year. For a decade, Adil waited patiently in his small hut, spending his days in meditation and prayer, certain that the universe would deliver his promised fortune. As his 30th year drew to a close, Adil grew desperate. He had followed every spiritual teaching about allowing and receiving, yet his circumstances remained unchanged. One night, in his despair, he climbed to the highest peak where the sage had first appeared to him. There, he encountered not the sage, but an old stone cutter, working by moonlight. "Why do you cut stone in darkness?" Adil asked. "Because each strike shapes tomorrow," the stone cutter replied. "The universe provides the stone, but it is my hands that give it form." In that moment, Adil understood his error. He had been waiting for prosperity to find him, when he should have been building it stone by stone. This truth echoes through the ages. The universe does not simply deliver, it responds to those who dare to create. The law of attraction, so often misunderstood, is not a cosmic delivery service. It is a fundamental force that responds to active participation in the creative process. Consider the tale of Yasmin, the master builder, who arrived at a desolate valley where nothing grew. While others saw only emptiness, she saw potential. Day by day, she laid foundations, directed waterways, and planted gardens. She did not merely visualize a thriving kingdom. She built it, decision by decision, action by action. The land gives what the builder commands, Yasmin would say to those who marveled at her creation. But first, the builder must command. The universe mirrors this principle in all things. It provides the raw materials, the infinite field of possibility, but you must shape these possibilities into reality. Your thoughts are not wishes to be granted. They are blueprints to be executed. Now, pause and examine your own life. Where have you been waiting instead of building? Take out your journal and write down 3 areas where you have been passive, expecting change without actively creating it. For each area, write, I am no longer waiting for this to happen. I am building it now. Stand before a mirror and speak these words with conviction. I am the architect of my reality. Through my conscious choices and actions, I shape the substance of creation. I do not wait for life to happen. I build it with purpose and power. This is my divine role, and I claim it now. Let this declaration be your foundation stone. Tomorrow, you begin building. Chapter 2. Your mind is the blueprint of reality. In the heart of ancient Athens there lived a sculptor named Theron, whose hands could bring forth such beauty from marble that people whispered he had been blessed by the gods. His statues captured not just the form but the very essence of his subjects. Yet while his creations flourished, his own life remained trapped in shadows of doubt and scarcity. You see, every morning as Theron worked, he would mutter, "Life is hard, and success comes only through endless toil." With each strike of his chisel, he unknowingly carved these beliefs into the fabric of his existence. His masterpieces brought him renown, but never prosperity, for he had sculpted his reality with thoughts of struggle. This truth stands eternal. Your thoughts are not mere reflections of reality. They are its architects. Every belief you hold shapes the quantum field of infinite possibility, crystallizing potential into form. Just as water takes the shape of its container, reality takes the shape of your dominant thoughts. Think of your mind as a divine chisel, constantly carving the formless energy of the universe into the solid matter of experience. Each thought sends ripples through the field of creation, attracting and arranging the particles of possibility into patterns that match your mental blueprint. Let me share with you the tale of Nasir, a merchant who set out to cross the great desert. Before beginning his journey, an elder told him of 2 paths, one filled with danger, the other with prosperity. The elder explained that both paths existed simultaneously until the traveler's expectation chose which would manifest. Nasir understood this wisdom. As he traveled, he held firmly in his mind the image of the prosperous path. Where others found scorching heat, he discovered cool oases. Where they saw barren dunes, he found trading posts. His expectations did not merely interpret his reality, they created it. The physical world you see is the final stage of creation, not the first. Every circumstance in your life began as a thought form, an energetic template that drew together the elements of manifestation. Your beliefs are not responding to your reality is responding to your beliefs. Now sit in silence and close your eyes. Picture the reality you wish to create, not as a distant possibility, but as an energetic blueprint already taking form. See it with the precision of a master architect, every detail clear and vibrant. Feel the emotional resonance of living in this reality. Let it fill your being until it becomes more real than your current circumstances. Hold this vision in your mind for several minutes, knowing that you are not merely imagining. You are imprinting this template onto the quantum field. Your thoughts are now arranging the invisible forces of creation just as surely as a sculptor's hands shape clay. Chapter 3. Decoding the Holographic Universe. Let me share with you an ancient tale passed down through generations. In a distant valley between towering mountains stood a village whose people lived in constant fear. They believed an enormous wall encircled their home, cutting them off from the abundant world beyond. For centuries they accepted this limitation, building their lives within what they perceived as their confined space. One summer morning, a young girl named Maya noticed a butterfly passing through what everyone claimed was solid stone. Curious, she followed it, extending her hand to touch the wall, only to discover her fingers pass through empty air. The wall, which had dominated their lives for generations, was nothing more than a shadow cast by their collective belief. This truth extends beyond that humble village. The physical world you perceive is not the fundamental reality. It is a projection of consciousness, a holographic image created by your awareness. Just as a hologram contains the whole image in each of its fragments, every piece of your reality contains the seeds of all possibility. Consider how a dream feels completely real until you awaken. Your waking reality operates on the same principle. It is a vivid projection of consciousness, taking form based on your deepest beliefs and perceptions. There once lived a wise man named Karim who taught while wearing a blindfold. When his students questioned this practice, he explained, "What you see as reality is but a fragment of truth, filtered through the lens of belief. With my eyes covered, I perceive the world not as it appears, but as it truly is, pure potential, waiting to be shaped by consciousness." For 3 days, Karim guided his students through the forest while blindfolded, revealing how their perceived limitations dissolved when they released their attachment to physical sight. What appeared as obstacles became doorways, what seemed like boundaries became bridges. The world you experience is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Your consciousness is both the projector and the projected image, the creator and the creation. When you understand this truth, you hold the power to shift your entire reality by shifting your perception. Let us practice this ancient wisdom. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Feel the solidity of your surroundings dissolve into waves of pure potential. Release your grip on what you believe to be fixed and unchangeable. Allow your consciousness to expand beyond the boundaries of perceived limitation. Now, from this space of infinite possibility, consciously choose the reality you wish to experience. Feel how your perception shapes the quantum field, crystallizing new forms from the formless. This is not imagination. It is the fundamental process of reality creation. Chapter 4. Time is not what you think. Let me share with you a tale of awakening that has echoed through the corridors of time. In a bustling city, there lived a man named Thomas who measured his life in deadlines and appointments. Each morning, he would wake to the harsh sound of his alarm, feeling the weight of time pressing against his chest. "There's never enough time," he would whisper to himself, watching the minutes slip away like grains of sand. One evening, as Thomas rushed through the city streets, he encountered an enigmatic figure standing perfectly still amid the flowing crowd. The stranger's presence seemed to create a pocket of stillness in the chaos. "You believe time is running out," the figure spoke, "but time is not what you think it is." The stranger guided Thomas to a quiet courtyard where a fountain flowed both forward and backward simultaneously. "Look closely," the figure instructed. Just as water can flow in any direction, time is fluid, responsive to the consciousness that observes it. Time is not a river carrying you toward an inevitable future. It is an ocean of infinite possibilities, and your thoughts are the currents that direct your course through its waters. Each moment, you stand at a crossroads of countless timelines, and your present awareness determines which reality you step into. In another time, there lived a painter named Sophia, who was haunted by memories of failure and loss. Her canvases remained blank as she dwelled in the shadow of past disappointments. One night, as she sat before an empty canvas, her brush moved of its own accord, painting scenes from her past, but different from how she remembered them. With each stroke, she realized she wasn't merely painting pictures. She was rewriting her history. As Sophia's perception of the past transformed, her present reality shifted accordingly. The failures she had carried became stepping stones, the losses transformed into lessons, and her future opened up with newfound possibility. Your perception of time creates the framework within which your reality unfolds. When you understand that time is malleable, shaped by consciousness rather than mechanical progression, you gain the power to step into any timeline you choose. Take your journal now and write the story of your future as though it has already occurred. Date your entry 1 year from today and describe in vivid detail the life you have created. Feel the emotions of having already achieved your desires. Remember the path that led you there and give thanks for the journey as though it is complete. This is not mere imagination. It is the act of selecting your timeline from the infinite possibilities that exist in the eternal now. Chapter 5, The Frequency Matrix. In the ancient city of Marikand lived a wandering musician named Kai, who carried only his worn lute and a mysterious tuning fork given to him by his master. Though skilled in his craft, Kai found himself playing in empty taverns and deserted streets, his music falling on deaf ears. One night, in frustration, he struck the tuning fork against a stone wall. The sound that emerged was unlike anything he had heard before. Pure, crystalline, perfect. As the vibration spread through the air, the world around him began to shift. The empty tavern filled with appreciative listeners, their eyes alight with joy. When the sound faded, so did the vision, leaving Kai alone once more. Through experimentation, Kai discovered that different frequencies of the fork created different realities. When he matched the precise vibration of what he desired, that reality would manifest around him. The secret lay not in the fork itself, but in his ability to feel the frequency he wished to create. Just as every radio station broadcasts on its own frequency, every potential reality exists on its own vibrational bandwidth. Your emotions are not mere responses to life. They are the tuning mechanism through which you select which reality you experience. When you align your emotional frequency with what you desire, you naturally draw that experience into your awareness. In the mountains of the East, there lived an artist named Wei who struggled to capture the visions in his mind. Day after day, he mixed his paints and applied them to canvas, but the results never matched what he imagined. His trees lacked vitality, his skies missed their luminescence, his portraits failed to capture the soul of their subjects. One morning, Wei noticed that his frustration and disappointment had seeped into his paints, dulling their vibrancy. He realized that the energy he brought to his work determined its outcome. When he painted with joy and anticipation, his colors came alive. When he created from a place of lack, his art reflected that emptiness. To manifest your desired reality, you must first become a match for it energetically. Like tuning a musical instrument, you must adjust your frequency until it resonates perfectly with what you wish to create. This is not a matter of forcing or struggling, but of allowing yourself to vibrate in harmony with your vision. Close your eyes now and recall a moment when you felt completely aligned with your highest vision for life. Feel that state fully, the joy, the confidence, the knowing. Let this feeling permeate every cell of your being. This is the frequency of your desired reality. Practice holding this vibration, returning to it throughout your day, until it becomes your natural state of being. Chapter 6: The Forgotten Science of Thought Form Engineering. In a hidden chamber beneath an ancient library, there lived a scribe named Rami, who possessed a mysterious book bound in shimmering silk. Each night, by candlelight, he would write in its pages, recording the events of the day. But one morning, he noticed something extraordinary. The stories he had written the night before had manifested in the world around him. When he wrote of rain, clouds gathered. When he described prosperity, gold coins appeared in his purse. Yet when his fears crept into his writing, tales of darkness and loss, these too became real. Rami discovered that his thoughts, when captured in ink, became living blueprints for reality. You too possess this power, though your thoughts need no physical book to manifest. Every thought you think sends ripples through the quantum field, creating patterns that seek physical expression. These thought forms are not mere fantasies. They are energetic architects of reality, drawing together the elements needed for their manifestation. In the mountains of the north lived a weaver named Maya, who worked at an ancient loom. Her fingers danced across threads of gold and silver, weaving tapestries that seemed to shimmer with life. What she did not realize was that as she wove physical threads, her thoughts were weaving unseen patterns in the fabric of reality. When she wove with thoughts of abundance, her village prospered. When her mind dwelled on scarcity, crops withered in the fields. Through time, Maya learned that her thoughts were like invisible threads, weaving patterns far more powerful than any physical tapestry. The science of thought forms reveals that sustained focus acts as a magnetic force, drawing the elements of manifestation into alignment. Each thought carries a specific frequency, and when charged with emotion, it becomes a living blueprint that the universe must fulfill. Your unconscious patterns create default realities, while conscious thought architecture allows you to design your world with precision. Your mind is not merely receiving reality, it is creating it, moment by moment, thought by thought. The key lies not in thinking sporadically about what you desire, but in maintaining a consistent thought pattern that matches your intended creation. Like Rami's enchanted book or Maya's mystical loom, your mind is constantly weaving the fabric of your existence. To master this ancient science, you must first understand that thoughts are not confined to your mind. They are living forces that extend into the quantum field, shaping the very substance of reality. Your habitual thought patterns form the foundation of your experience, while your conscious intentions direct the flow of creation. Chapter 7: The Principle of Reality Loops. In the ancient city of Ur, there lived a wanderer named Karim, who found himself trapped in an endless maze of winding streets. Each morning, he would set out determined to find the exit, only to return to the same starting point as the sunset. Day after day, year after year, he traced the same paths, convinced that the way out must lie just around the next corner. What Karim did not realize was that the maze existed not in the streets, but in his mind. The exit had always been within reach. a simple doorway that he passed countless times, yet never saw because his belief in the maze's complexity prevented him from recognizing it. You too may find yourself walking similar paths, repeating patterns that seem destined to persist. These reality loops are not random. They are the manifestation of deeply ingrained beliefs cycling through time. Like a record playing the same groove, your subconscious mind creates familiar scenarios that match your expectations. In a time-worn tower overlooking the sea, there lived an old clockmaker named Johannes, who tended to a mysterious timepiece. Each day, he would wind the ancient mechanism, and as the gears turned, he noticed that certain events would repeat themselves in the village below. The baker would drop his bread at precisely the same moment. The fisherman would catch the same fish, and the lovers would meet under the same tree. One day, Johannes discovered that by adjusting the mechanism's rhythm, he could alter these patterns. When he changed the timing, new possibilities emerged. The baker created new recipes, the fisherman discovered new waters, and love blossomed in unexpected places. The universe operates much like Johannes's clock, reflecting back the rhythms we hold within. Your dominant vibrations, the thoughts and beliefs you carry, create resonant patterns that manifest as recurring experiences. These loops persist not because they are fixed, but because they are reinforced by expectation. Yet any cycle can be broken through conscious awareness and choice. Just as Kareem needed only to shift his perspective to see the exit, you have the power to step out of any reality loop by changing your inner programming. The key lies not in fighting against the pattern, but in recognizing that you are its creator. Think of your recurring experiences as echoes of internal beliefs. Each relationship that mirrors past ones, each financial situation that seems familiar, each challenge that returns in different forms, these are not coincidences but reflections of timeline loops you have unconsciously created. Chapter 8. The Language of the Universe. In the mountains of ancient Tibet, there lived a monk named Chen who spent his days attempting to commune with the celestial beings he believed dwelled in the peaks above. Each morning, he would recite elaborate prayers and incantations, speaking his desires into the wind, yet receiving no response. His words, though beautifully crafted, seemed to dissolve into the thin mountain air. One day, exhausted from his endless verbal supplications, Chen sat in silence. As the morning sun warmed his face, he felt an unfamiliar stirring in his heart. Without speaking a word, he allowed himself to feel the pure joy of connection he had been seeking. In that moment, the mountains seemed to pulse with life, and Chen understood that he had been speaking the wrong language all along. The universe communicates not through words, but through the silent language of energy and emotion. Like a vast consciousness that responds to frequency rather than speech, it mirrors back the vibrations you emit. Your thoughts and words hold power only when they carry the resonance of genuine feeling. In the ancient city of Alexandria, there lived a poet named Adira, whose verses were said to hold magical properties. Yet she discovered that her words alone could not shape reality. It was only when she infused them with the full force of her emotional truth that the world began to shift. When she wrote of love with an open heart, lovers found their way to each other. When she penned verses about abundance with genuine gratitude, prosperity flowed through the city streets. The truth Adira discovered is the same truth that lies at the heart of all creation. The universe responds not to what you say, but to what you are. Your energetic signature, the combination of your feelings, beliefs, and vibrational state, is the real prayer that the cosmos answers. This is why mere affirmations often fail to manifest desired outcomes. Speaking words of wealth while feeling poor, or declaring love while harboring fear, creates a discord that the universe cannot resolve. True manifestation occurs when your entire being aligns with the frequency of what you seek. The language of the universe is far more sophisticated than human speech. It speaks through synchronicities, through dreams, through the subtle promptings of your intuition. When you learn to listen and respond in kind, through feeling, through energy, through embodied knowing, you begin to engage in true cosmic dialogue. Like an ancient dance between soul and spirit, this sacred conversation unfolds in the spaces between thoughts, in the whispers of your heart, in the quiet moments when your mind grows still. The universe communicates through a tapestry of signs and symbols, weaving meaning into seemingly random events, guiding you with a wisdom that transcends mere words. As you attune yourself to this divine frequency, you become fluent in the language of creation itself. Chapter 9: The Architect's First Secret. In the ancient kingdom of Persia, there lived a young apprentice named Rashid, who served under the legendary architect Kamal. While other builders worked with stone and mortar, Kamal spent hours in meditation, his eyes closed, designing magnificent structures in his mind. Rashid would watch with growing frustration as his master appeared to waste precious time in what seemed like idle daydreaming. "Master," Rashid said one day, "why do you sit here imagining castles when we should be laying foundations?" Kamal simply smiled and continued his practice. Months passed, and as Rashid watched, he witnessed something extraordinary. The very palaces and gardens that Kamal had designed in his mind began to take shape in the physical world, each detail exactly as he had envisioned. What appeared as fantasy to others was, for Kamal, the essential blueprint of creation. You must understand that imagination is not separate from reality. It is reality in its nascent form. When you truly grasp this principle, you will see that everything in your world once existed as a thought, a vision, an inner image charged with possibility. The great innovators, creators, and manifestors throughout history have known this truth. What you vividly imagine with emotional intensity becomes the template for physical manifestation. In the valleys of ancient China, there lived an artist named Wei, whose paintings were unlike any others. At first, his works were dismissed as mere fantasies, too fantastic to be taken seriously. But Wei discovered that when he poured his entire being into his art, believing in the reality of what he created, the landscape around his humble dwelling began to transform. The mountains he painted appeared on the horizon. The rivers he drew carved new paths through the earth, and the gardens he imagined bloomed in perfect detail. The quantum field responds to the electrical impulses of your imagination, translating mental images into physical form through the bridge of emotion and belief. This is not metaphor or mysticism. It is the mechanics of creation itself. Your imagination is the workshop where reality is first assembled, the sacred space where possibility takes its initial form. The power of imagination lies not in its ability to escape reality, but in its capacity to create it. When you imagine with full sensory engagement, seeing, feeling, hearing, tasting, and touching your desired reality within your mind, you are not fantasizing but engaging in the first phase of manifestation. This sacred act of inner creation has been known to mystics and sages throughout time, who understood that the images held steadily in consciousness become the blueprint for physical expression. As you cultivate this divine gift of imagination, you participate in the eternal dance of creation, where thought precedes form and vision gives birth to experience. The universe responds not to idle daydreams, but to the focused power of imagination infused with unwavering belief and emotional resonance. Chapter 10: The Initiation. In the ancient city of Damascus, there lived a young craftsman named Tarek, who spent his days watching master builders create magnificent structures. Though he possessed all the knowledge and tools needed to build, something held him back, a whisper of doubt that echoed in his heart. Each morning, Tarek would walk past the construction sites, his hands yearning to shape stone and wood, yet he always told himself, "Tomorrow, when I am ready." What he failed to see was that his very hesitation was itself an act of creation, manifesting a reality of perpetual waiting. You see, every moment of existence is an act of creation. Whether conscious or unconscious, you are always building your reality. The question is not whether you will create, for that is inevitable, but whether you will do so with awareness and intention. One evening, as Tarek sat in his modest dwelling, an old sage appeared at his door. Without speaking, the sage handed him a mirror unlike any other. In its reflection, Tarek saw not just his face, but every thought, every decision, every moment of hesitation that had shaped his current circumstances. He realized that he had been building all along, constructing walls of limitation instead of bridges to possibility. The power to shape reality is not something you must earn or achieve. It is your birthright, your natural state of being. Just as a spider needs no permission to weave its web, you need no external validation to weave the fabric of your existence. Consider the story of the nameless traveler who journeyed far and wide seeking the key to universal power. After crossing deserts and scaling mountains, consulting sages and studying ancient texts, he finally collapsed in exhaustion. As his hand touched the earth in surrender, he felt something in his pocket, a golden key he had carried all along, forgotten since birth. This moment of recognition awaits you now. The tools of creation are not external instruments, but the very essence of your being. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are the raw materials from which your reality is fashioned. Every moment you stand at the architect's table of existence, drawing the blueprints of your experience. The time has come to step fully into this truth, to embrace the divine inheritance that has always been yours. No more waiting, no more hesitation, no more deflecting your power into external sources or distant horizons. You are not merely a character in the story of life. You are its author, its architect, its master builder. In every breath, in every thought, in every moment of conscious awareness, you wield the sacred pen that writes your destiny. The universe bends to your creative will, responding to the silent commands of your deepest beliefs and most cherished dreams. Part 2. The Tools of Conscious Creation. Chapter 11. The Universal Building Blocks. In the ancient markets of Persia, there lived 3 master artisans whose work was renowned throughout the land. The first, Kamal, was a visionary who could sketch designs of such beauty that they seemed to leap from the parchment. The second, Nadia, possessed hands that could shape raw materials into forms of extraordinary precision. The third, Reza, was known for his mysterious ability to imbue creations with a spark of life that made them seem almost real. Though each was talented in their own right, their individual works never achieved the magnificence they desired. Kamal's drawings remained flat and lifeless. Nadia's sculptures, though perfect in form, felt empty. Reza's attempts to enliven ordinary objects resulted in chaos. One day, a mysterious wanderer visited their separate workshops and gave each artisan the same message. Your gift is but 1/3 of creation's triangle. Seek your counterparts, for only in unity will you find completion. This truth echoes through the ages. Creation requires the perfect union of thought, emotion, and energy. Thought provides the blueprint, the clear vision of what is to be manifested. Emotion infuses that vision with life force, giving it substance and magnetic pull. Energy provides the momentum that propels it from potential into reality. Think of thought as the architect's drawing, emotion as the building materials, and energy as the force that assembles them into form. When these three elements align, reality has no choice but to conform to your vision. But when they conflict, when your thoughts say one thing while your emotions vibrate at a different frequency, or when your energy flows against your intended direction, creation becomes distorted. This principle is illustrated in the tale of Hassan, an alchemist who spent decades attempting to transform lead into gold. His formulas were perfect, his understanding complete, yet success eluded him. In frustration, he threw his manuscripts into the fire one night, and as he watched them burn, a profound realization struck him. He had been approaching creation as a purely mental exercise, neglecting the emotional resonance of gold's essence and the energetic frequency of abundance. The next morning, Hassan began anew. This time, he not only envisioned the transformation, but allowed himself to feel the joy of success while directing his life force toward his goal with unwavering focus. Within days, he achieved what years of intellectual effort alone could not accomplish. These stories reveal an eternal truth. Manifestation is not a singular act, but a trinity of forces working in perfect harmony. Your thoughts sketch the blueprint of possibility, your emotions give it substance and magnetism, and your energy provides the spark of life that brings it into being. Chapter 12. How to Hack the Quantum Field. In a modern laboratory on the outskirts of Geneva, Dr. Thomas Reeves stood before his life's work, a quantum observation chamber designed to peek through the veils of reality. After years of research, he had discovered that consciousness itself was the key to accessing parallel timelines. As he activated the device for the first time, 3 distinct versions of himself appeared in the chamber's display. In one, he saw himself accepting a Nobel Prize, his theories having revolutionized physics. In another, he witnessed his own defeat, having abandoned his research after repeated failures. In the third, he observed a version that had never dared to pursue his dreams, living a life of quiet mediocrity. The quantum field is not merely a theoretical construct. It is the living fabric of all possibility, responding moment by moment to your conscious awareness. Each thought, each belief, each expectation collapses infinite potential into singular experience. You are not moving through time, you are selecting which version of reality to step into. Most people drift unconsciously between parallel timelines, their trajectory determined by deeply embedded patterns and beliefs. Like a radio automatically tuning to familiar frequencies, their awareness gravitates toward realities that match their programming. But once you understand that consciousness is the selector switch, you gain the power to choose. This truth was known to Sophia, a young artist who discovered an unusual mirror in her grandmother's attic. Each time she gazed into it, her reflection shifted according to her innermost beliefs. When she doubted herself, she saw a diminished version of her being. When she embraced her potential, her reflection radiated with power and purpose. The observer effect is not limited to quantum particles in laboratories. It extends to every aspect of your existence. Where you place your attention, where you direct your consciousness, determines which version of reality crystallizes from the field of infinite possibility. The power to choose your timeline has always been yours, but like Dr. Reeves, you must first become aware of the choices available. Every moment presents a crossroads. Every decision point offers multiple trajectories. The version of you that has already achieved your desires exists now. vibrating at a frequency you can access through conscious alignment. Continue with the quantum shifting exercise as specified in the instructions. Chapter 13. The Architect's Second Secret. Along the ancient Silk Road, a merchant named Rashid journeyed toward a legendary city said to lie beyond a vast canyon. For days he searched for a crossing, but found none. As night fell, an old woman appeared beside his campfire. "The bridge reveals itself only to those who trust it exists," she said, vanishing into the darkness. At dawn, Rashid stood at the canyon's edge. The depths below seemed endless, yet something in the woman's words had awakened a knowing within him. Without hesitation, he stepped forward into empty space and felt solid ground beneath his feet. With each step, the bridge materialized, constructed from pure certainty. You see, manifestation operates through an immutable law. Reality bends to match your deepest convictions. When you merely hope for something, you acknowledge its absence. When you wish for it, you reinforce its distance. But when you know with every fiber of your being that something is already yours, the universe has no choice but to conform to that truth. Consider the tale of Commander Lin, whose armies never tasted defeat. Before each battle, he would retreat to his tent and sit in perfect stillness, experiencing the victory as though it had already occurred. He felt the weight of the victory medal against his chest, heard the celebrations of his soldiers, and saw the sun setting on a successful campaign. By the time he mounted his horse, the battle was already won in the only place that mattered, his consciousness. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are certain of. This certainty must run deeper than mere thoughts or words. It must permeate your entire being. When you reach for something while harboring doubt, you create resistance in the quantum field. But when you move through life with unshakable knowing, reality reshapes itself to match your conviction. This is not blind faith, but rather an understanding of the law that governs all creation. Consciousness precedes manifestation. Just as Rashid's bridge appeared only when he trusted it would support him, your desires materialize only when you release all doubt about their inevitability. The question is not whether your desires will manifest. It is only a matter of when you will align with the version of reality where they already exist. This alignment comes through absolute certainty, an unwavering knowing that transcends physical evidence and circumstance. Now, I share with you an ancient ritual of embodiment, passed down through generations of masters who understood the power of absolute knowing. This practice will anchor your certainty at the deepest level of your being. Stand in silence, eyes closed. Take 3 deep breaths, releasing doubt. With each exhale, feel yourself becoming lighter. Focus on your deepest desire. Instead of seeing it as distant, know it already exists, awaiting your alignment. Place your hand on your heart and feel its rhythm. Creation's pulse within you. Declare, I am the source through which all possibilities flow. What I know to be true must manifest in form. Move as if your desire is already real. Walk with the confidence of one who has received their wish. Let every action reflect this truth. When doubt arises, simply say, I see this doubt, but I choose certainty instead. Embody this knowing physically. Relax your shoulders. Straighten your spine, lift your chin. Breathe into this posture of alignment. End by placing both hands on your heart in a circle of certainty. State 3 times, it is done. Let these words permeate your entire being. This ritual reminds you of your innate truth. You are reality's architect, and your certainty must manifest in form. Chapter 14, How to Override the 3D Illusion. In the heart of an ancient city there lived an artist named Chen who spent his days painting within the faded lines of inherited canvases. Each morning, he would trace the same patterns, believing these boundaries defined the limits of his art. One evening, as shadows danced across his workshop, a mysterious figure appeared. The elder's eyes held wisdom that seemed to transcend time itself. Without speaking, he took one of Chen's old canvases and began to stretch it beyond its frame. Then, with gentle strokes, he showed Chen how to wash away the ancient markings until only pure potential remained. "The boundaries you see," the elder whispered, "exist only in your mind. You must understand this truth. What appears as solid circumstance is merely a projection of your accepted limitations. The world you perceive as fixed and unchangeable is actually fluid, responding moment by moment to your deepest beliefs about what is possible." Consider the tale of the merchant Karim, who spent years trading in the copper markets. Day after day, he exchanged his goods for copper coins, believing this was the height of his potential. Until one day, he witnessed another merchant trading the same wares for gold. In that moment, his perception shattered. He realized he had been choosing copper simply because he believed it was all he could receive. The external world presents itself as immovable fact, yet this is the grand illusion. Your senses report what appears to be, but they cannot detect the infinite possibilities that lie just beyond your current perception. When you accept circumstances as fixed reality, you freeze potential into form. But when you learn to look past appearances, to hold firm to your vision, despite contrary evidence, reality has no choice but to reshape itself according to your unwavering focus. Now, I share with you an ancient practice of reality shifting, preserved by those who understood the malleable nature of existence. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Identify a circumstance you wish to transform. Notice how your senses report its solidity, its seeming permanence. Begin to withdraw your attention from these sensory reports. Feel yourself detaching from what appears to be. Breathe deeply and declare, "I release my acceptance of this condition. It holds no power over my reality." Now, with your inner eye, see clearly the reality you choose to experience. Feel it with every sense, knowing it is already manifest on a frequency you are aligning with. When contrary evidence arises, simply return to this inner knowing. Throughout your day, practice this sensory override. When the old reality presents itself, silently affirm, "I choose not to energize this appearance. I remain aligned with my chosen reality." Hold this focus until the external world has no choice but to conform to your inner vision. Chapter 15. The Power of State Shifting. In a bustling marketplace, a beggar named Ryan huddled in his usual corner, watching the world pass by. One morning, a mysterious merchant approached, offering him royal robes for a single day. Hesitantly, Ryan accepted, donning the magnificent garments. As he stepped into the streets, something remarkable occurred. The world began responding differently, not to his clothes, but to the subtle shift in his bearing. With each step, his posture straightened, his chin lifted, and his eyes met those around him with quiet dignity. Merchants who had ignored him now bowed respectfully, offering their finest wares. Children who once mocked him now gathered to hear his stories. That evening, as he prepared to return the robes, the merchant revealed the truth. The clothes changed nothing. It was your belief in yourself that transformed how the world saw you. You see, reality does not shift when you merely wish for change. It transforms when you step into alignment with the version of yourself who already experiences what you desire. Your external world is a precise reflection of your internal state of being. Take the tale of Sophia, an apprentice healer who struggled to attract patients. Her mentor observed her tentative movements, her hesitant voice, her uncertainty in her abilities. "Stop trying to become a healer," the mentor advised. "Be one. Walk as though you have already helped thousands. Speak as though your wisdom is proven. Feel the confidence of experience in your bones." When Sophia began embodying the presence of a master healer, patients naturally sought her out. Her reality shifted not because she had gained more knowledge, but because she had aligned with the energy of who she knew herself to be. This ancient truth reveals why so many remain trapped in unwanted circumstances. They wait for external change while maintaining the same internal state. They seek abundance while embodying lack, love while embodying unworthiness, success while embodying doubt. The universe responds not to what you want, but to who you are being. When you shift your state of being, reality has no choice but to reflect this shift back to you. This is not pretense or acting. It is energetic alignment with the version of yourself that already exists in the quantum field. Let me share with you a sacred practice passed down through generations of reality architects. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and envision the version of yourself who has already manifested your desires. How does this version of you move through the world? What thoughts fill their mind? What energy radiates from their presence? Now begin to embody this future self. Stand as they stand. Breathe as they breathe. Feel what they feel. Let their certainty, their peace, their power flow through you. This is not visualization. It is becoming. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 16, The Alchemy of Thought into Physical Matter. In a forgotten village there lived a blacksmith named Tarek who possessed an extraordinary gift. While others required metal and ore to forge their creations, Tarek worked with unseen elements that floated in the air around him. As villagers watched in wonder, he would reach into empty space, gathering invisible raw materials with his hands, and begin to shape them in his forge. "There is nothing there," they would whisper among themselves. Yet day after day, magnificent swords materialized from what appeared to be nothing but air and intention. When asked about his secret, Tarek would simply smile and say, "Everything already exists in the unseen realm. I merely give it form." You see, thoughts are the primary substance of creation. Like the unseen elements Tarek worked with, your thoughts contain the essence of all that will manifest in your physical reality. Your belief system acts as the forge, heating and shaping these ethereal materials into tangible form. Consider the tale of Ming, a farmer who discovered ancient seeds that were invisible to the eye. While others laughed at her apparently empty hands, she carefully planted these unseen seeds, watering them with unwavering faith. Days turned to weeks, and gradually green shoots emerged from the soil where she had placed her invisible seeds. "How can this be?" the villagers asked in astonishment. "What you think is empty space," Ming explained, "is filled with potential waiting to take form. The seeds were always real. They simply existed in a state you could not yet see." This wisdom reveals the true mechanism of manifestation. Every thought you hold is like one of Ming's invisible seeds, containing within it the full pattern of its physical expression. Your beliefs act as the soil, your emotion as the water, and your consistent attention as the sunlight that allows these thought seeds to grow into material reality. When you understand this principle, you realize that nothing appears in your life by chance. Every circumstance, every experience, every material condition began as a thought form in your consciousness. The key to mastery lies not in forcing reality to bend to your will, but in learning to forge your thoughts with the same precision Tarek used in his mystical smithy. Just as a metallurgist must understand the properties of different metals, you must learn to recognize the quality and potency of your thoughts. Some thoughts are like raw ore, requiring refinement before they can serve your highest purpose. Others are already pure, ready to be shaped into the reality you desire. The ancient masters knew that sustained, emotionally charged thought was the most powerful force in existence. They understood that the physical world is merely the final stage of a process that begins in the realm of pure thought. Chapter 17, The Energy Grid. In a distant coastal village there lived a fisherman named Ryu, who struggled daily against the mighty ocean's whims. While other fishermen fought against the waves, casting their nets with brute force, Ryu noticed something peculiar about the water's movement. One morning, as he sat in his boat, frustrated by another empty net, an elderly woman appeared, walking on the water's surface as if it were solid ground. "The ocean speaks," she said, "but few learn its language. Watch the dance of the seabirds, feel the whisper of the wind, and you will see the invisible currents that connect all things. You see, reality flows like an ocean, with currents of energy connecting every possibility, every outcome, every desire. Those who master these currents need not struggle against life's resistance." Taking the woman's advice, Ryu began to observe. He noticed how seabirds glided effortlessly along invisible pathways in the air. He felt how his boat naturally aligned with certain flows in the water. Soon he could navigate to the richest fishing grounds without effort, simply by attuning to the ocean's hidden frequencies. This truth extends far beyond fishing. Everything in existence is connected through vibrational threads, invisible but tangible to those who develop the sensitivity to feel them. Your intuition is your internal compass, naturally aligned with these energetic currents. In an ancient library, a scribe named Amara discovered a mysterious scroll. Unlike ordinary maps showing physical landmarks, this one revealed the invisible pathways between realities. As she studied the intricate patterns, she realized these weren't paths to different places, but to different frequencies of existence. "The map you seek," the scroll revealed, "is written in the language of vibration. When you match the frequency of your desire, you are already there." This wisdom illuminates why some people seem to move through life with graceful ease, while others struggle against constant resistance. Like Ryu learning to read the ocean's currents, those who understand the vibrational nature of reality can navigate toward their desires with natural flow. Your dominant frequency acts as a tuning fork, automatically aligning you with corresponding currents in the universal energy field. When you feel stuck or blocked, it's often because you're attempting to force your way against the natural flow, rather than adjusting your vibration to match your intended destination. Chapter 18. Reality is a liquid, not a solid. In a forgotten artist's studio, there lived a sculptor named Kai, who dedicated his life to mastering the art of stone carving. Each day he would chisel away at unyielding marble, believing that creation required force and struggle. One evening, as moonlight filtered through his workshop window, he discovered a strange substance that seemed to pulse with life. Unlike the cold stone he was accustomed to, this material responded to his mere touch, shifting and flowing like liquid silver. At first, Kai attempted to sculpt it using his familiar tools, but the substance resisted every chisel stroke. Frustrated, he sat before it in meditation. As his mind quieted, he noticed the material beginning to move, taking shape in response to his thoughts. You see, this mirrors the true nature of your reality. What appears solid and unchangeable is actually in constant flux, responding to the energy of your focused attention. In the ancient city of Sahara, a wise ruler built his kingdom upon shifting desert sands. His advisors warned against such foolishness, insisting that foundations must be set in stone. But the ruler understood a deeper truth. That which adapts, endures. That which resists, breaks. As seasons passed, neighboring kingdoms crumbled when their rigid structures could not withstand change. But the desert kingdom flowed with the movements of the earth, its buildings and streets reorganizing themselves according to the needs of its people. This wisdom reveals why some remain trapped in circumstances they wish to change. They approach life as Kai once approached stone, believing they must force their way through solid barriers. But reality is more like the mysterious substance in his studio, responsive to thought, malleable to intention. Your perception of permanence is the greatest illusion keeping you bound. The job you believe you're stuck in, the relationships you think can't evolve, the patterns you've accepted as just the way things are. All of these are as fluid as desert sands, waiting to be reshaped by your shifted perspective. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Choose one aspect of your life that has felt rigid and unchangeable. Close your eyes and imagine this situation as a sculpture made of flowing liquid rather than solid stone. See it losing its rigid form, becoming fluid and responsive to your thoughts. Feel its potential for movement, for transformation. Now mentally reshape this aspect of your life. Don't force or struggle. Simply hold the image of your desired reality and watch as the current form naturally flows into its new shape. Practice this visualization daily and observe how your unchangeable circumstance begins to shift in response to your transformed perception. Chapter 19. Unlocking the Infinite Source Within You. There once lived a wanderer named Rael, who traversed distant lands in search of the eternal fountain, a mystical spring said to grant infinite abundance to those who drank from its waters. For years he journeyed through mountains and valleys, consulting ancient maps and seeking wisdom from sages. One night, exhausted from his endless quest, Rael rested beside a simple well. As he gazed at his reflection in the still water, an old woman appeared beside him. "What do you see?" she asked. "Only my tired face," Rael replied. "Look deeper," she instructed. "The waters of creation do not flow from any external source. They spring from within." As Rael looked again, he saw not just his reflection, but endless ripples of possibility emanating from his own heart. In that moment he understood. He had been searching the world for what already existed within himself. You see, the power of creation is not something you must seek or earn. It flows through you as naturally as breath, as constantly as your heartbeat. Yet, from earliest childhood, you have been taught to look outside yourself for the source of abundance, achievement, and fulfillment. In the sacred temples of Alexandria, there lived a mystic named Theon who spent decades searching for a legendary doorway said to open into infinite possibility. He studied ancient texts, performed countless rituals, and followed every clue he could find. One day, while meditating in frustration, Theon heard a voice within. "Who do you think built this door you seek?" In that instant he realized he was not meant to find the door. He was meant to remember that he had created it. As this truth dawned in his consciousness, a shimmering portal materialized before him. revealing that his own recognition of his creative power was the key that had been missing all along. The fountain you seek, the door you wish to open, the power you believe you lack, all exist within you now. Your creative force is not a distant spring to be discovered, but an eternal wellspring flowing from the depths of your being. Every master who has walked this path has come to the same revelation. The source of all creation expresses itself through you. Society has conditioned you to believe that power lies in external things, in possessions, positions, or the approval of others. But these are merely reflections of an inner truth you have temporarily forgotten. You are not powerless. You have simply been looking in the wrong direction. To reclaim your creative authority, turn your attention inward. Close your eyes and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Feel yourself sinking deeper into stillness with each exhalation. Imagine a golden light awakening at the center of your being. This is your creative essence, the wellspring of all manifestation. As this light expands, acknowledge that every experience, every circumstance in your life flows from this internal source. Let this truth resonate through every cell. I am the origin of all I experience. Through me, the infinite expresses itself. My consciousness shapes reality. Rest in this knowing, feeling your creative power pulsing with each heartbeat. When you open your eyes, carry this awareness with you. You are not seeking power, you are power expressing itself. Chapter 20, The Blueprint Activation. In the ancient city of Ur, there lived a gifted scribe named Adal, who spent his days transcribing sacred texts in the temple archives. One night, while organizing dusty scrolls, he discovered a mysterious manuscript bound in golden thread. Its pages contained the precise formulas for reality creation, detailed instructions passed down through generations of master manifestors. Night after night, Adal studied these teachings with reverence, memorizing every word until the knowledge filled his mind completely. Yet his life remained unchanged. His dreams stayed dreams, his desires unfulfilled. Then one evening, as he prepared to close the manuscript, he noticed something peculiar. Several blank pages at the end. Above them were the words, "The power lies not in reading, but in writing your own story." Understanding dawned. The manuscript wasn't meant to be studied. It was meant to be completed. Taking up his quill, Adal began to write his own chapter, infusing each word with emotion and certainty. As the ink dried, subtle shifts began occurring in his world. You see, knowledge alone cannot reshape reality. It must be transformed into lived experience through consistent, intentional practice. The universe responds not to what you know, but to what you embody. Consider the tale of Layla, the visionary architect. In her mind, she designed magnificent cities with towering spires and gardens suspended in air. She could see every detail with perfect clarity, the play of light on crystal walls, the flow of water through aerial fountains. Yet year after year, her visions remained trapped in imagination. Until one day she understood, the grandest vision means nothing without the first stone. That very morning, she gathered her tools and began marking the foundation of what would become her masterpiece. As she aligned action with vision, her dream city rose steadily from the earth. The blueprint for your desired reality exists within you now. But like Adal's manuscript and Layla's architectural plans, it requires your active participation to manifest. A ritual of creation is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice of aligning thought, emotion, and action with unwavering intention. The ancient masters understood this truth. Reality responds to structured, consistent signals. When you establish a sacred practice of creation, combining clear visualization, emotional resonance, and aligned action. You send an unshakable message to the universe about what must manifest. Your ritual becomes the bridge between vision and reality, between potential and manifestation. It is through this dedicated practice that thought forms crystallize into physical experience. Like a master sculptor who returns daily to shape the formless clay, your consistent ritual molds the ethereal substance of possibility into tangible form. Each focused meditation, each heartfelt affirmation, each aligned action serves as another brushstroke on the canvas of creation, steadily bringing your inner vision into being through the ancient laws of manifestation. Part 3. Mastering the Art of Reality Design. Chapter 21. Walking as the Architect. In the halls of an ancient temple, a young seeker named Rayan spent years studying under the guidance of Master Chen. Day after day, he absorbed the sacred teachings of reality creation, memorizing every principle and technique with perfect precision. Yet while other students manifested remarkable changes in their lives, Rayan's world remained unchanged. He could recite the laws of manifestation flawlessly, explain the mechanics of reality creation with eloquence, but his own desires remained unrealized. One morning, as he watched Master Chen transform a barren courtyard into a flourishing garden with a single gesture, Rayan approached him in frustration. "Master, I have learned everything you've taught. Why can I not create as you do?" Master Chen smiled and pointed to a mirror on the temple wall. "What do you see?" "I see myself, a student of the ancient ways," Rayan replied. "And therein lies your limitation," the master said. "As long as you see yourself as one who studies creation, you will forever remain a student. The power you seek is not in knowing the way, it is in being the way." You see, the art of conscious reality creation is not a skill to master, but an identity to embody. Those who approach it as merely another technique to learn will find their manifestations hollow and short-lived. Consider the tale of Maya, a gifted sculptor who spent years perfecting her craft. Though her hands knew every secret of working with stone, she never created the masterpiece that burned in her heart. Each day she waited for someone to grant her permission, to declare her ready. Until one morning, gazing at an untouched block of marble, she realized the only authority she needed was her own. In that moment, she stopped being someone who knew how to sculpt and became a sculptor in the deepest sense. As her chisel touched the stone, reality itself seemed to bend to her will, revealing the form that had always existed within. This transformation of identity is the key that unlocks your true creative power. When you shift from doing manifestation to being a manifester, the universe responds not to your actions, but to your essence. The principles you've learned are not tools to be used. They are aspects of your nature to be expressed. The question is not, how do I create reality, but who must I become for my desired reality to manifest through me? For in truth, you are not learning to be a conscious reality architect. You are remembering that you have always been one. This profound shift in perspective liberates you from the endless seeking of techniques and methods, bringing you back to the essential truth of your divine nature. You need not acquire new powers, for the ability to shape reality flows naturally from who you truly are. When you recognize this, manifestation becomes not a practice to master, but an expression of your authentic self. Chapter 22. The Principle of Effortless Creation. In the waters off an ancient coastline, a fisherman named Tao struggled each day against fierce waves and treacherous currents. His nets were strong, his arms mighty, yet his catch remained meager, despite his relentless efforts. You see, Tao represented what many believe about manifestation, that through sheer force of will and constant striving, desires must be wrestled into reality. Each morning, he would row against the tide, fighting nature itself, returning exhausted with barely enough fish to survive. Until one day an old sailor approached him and asked, "Why do you battle the sea when you could dance with it?" The sailor showed Tao how to read the water's rhythms, to feel the natural flow of currents, and to position his nets where the fish naturally gathered. Instead of forcing his way through the waves, he learned to move in harmony with them. His catch doubled, then tripled, with half the effort. This wisdom reflects the true nature of manifestation. When you strain and struggle to make things happen, you create resistance that blocks the natural flow of abundance. The universe operates through the path of least resistance, like water finding its way to the sea. Consider the tale of Ming, the legendary gardener whose crops flourished while others withered. When asked about his secret, he simply smiled and said, "I do not force the plants to grow. I create the perfect conditions and allow nature to work its magic." Ming understood that his role was not to pull the crops from the ground, but to prepare fertile soil, ensure proper sunlight, and provide nourishment. He worked with the natural laws rather than against them. In the same way, manifestation flows effortlessly when you align with the universal currents rather than fighting against them. Your role is not to force reality into submission, but to create the inner conditions that allow your desires to naturally materialize. The struggle you feel in manifestation is not a sign of proper effort. It is a signal that you are working against the natural flow. When you find yourself straining, pushing, or obsessing over outcomes, you have fallen into the illusion that creation requires force. True power lies in allowing. Just as a river naturally flows downstream, your manifestations will naturally appear when you remove the resistance of doubt, anxiety, and control. Your task is not to make things happen, but to align yourself with the reality where they are already happening. In this state of allowance, you become like a clear channel through which the universe can express its infinite abundance. The ancient mystics understood this profound truth, that creation springs not from force, but from surrender to the divine flow that already moves through all things. When you release your grip on outcomes and trust in the wisdom of universal law, you step into harmony with the creative force that births worlds. This is the sacred paradox. In letting go, you gain everything. In surrendering control, you access true power. Chapter 23, The Architect's Third Secret. In a distant mountain village lived a seeker named Rami, who spent his days searching for signs of the divine. He journeyed through sacred temples, consulted with holy men, and performed countless rituals, all in pursuit of something he believed existed far beyond himself. You too may have walked this path, searching outside yourself for the source of creation. Yet what Rami discovered, as will you, is that the very act of seeking creates the illusion of separation. One morning, as Rami sat beneath an ancient tree, exhausted from his endless quest, he noticed how the branches swayed with his breath. As he inhaled, they seemed to draw closer. As he exhaled, they danced away. At first, he dismissed this as mere coincidence until he realized that everything around him, the rustling leaves, the shifting shadows, the singing birds, moved in perfect harmony with his inner state. In that moment, the veil lifted. Rami saw that he had never been separate from what he sought. The divine was not hidden in distant temples or sacred texts. It was expressing itself through him, as him, in every moment. This truth lies at the heart of conscious creation. The universe is not something external to you, but an extension of your consciousness. When you look at the world around you, you are not observing reality. You are witnessing your own consciousness made manifest. Consider the tale of Maya, a painter who lived in isolation, creating artwork that no one ever saw. One day, she noticed that the colors in her paintings began appearing in the world around her. The red she used for passion showed up in unexpected sunsets. The blue of tranquility emerged in previously murky waters. She had not merely been painting on canvas. She had been painting reality itself. You see, your consciousness is not confined within your physical form. It extends infinitely, shaping the quantum field that gives rise to all manifestation. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel ripples through the fabric of existence, molding reality like clay in the hands of a sculptor. The illusion of separation has kept humanity trapped in limitation. When you believe you are separate from the universe, you feel powerless to affect it. But when you recognize that everything around you is an extension of your consciousness, you understand that changing your world is as natural as changing your mind. This is why your internal shifts create external changes, not through some mysterious process, but because the external is simply a reflection of the internal. There is no separation between the creator and the created, between the observer and the observed. You are the universe experiencing itself through the unique lens of your consciousness. Chapter 24, Mastering Instant Manifestation. In the hidden valleys of Tibet there lived a mystic named Chen who devoted decades to mastering the art of manifestation. In his early years he would spend months in preparation, fasting, chanting, and performing intricate ceremonies before attempting to manifest even the smallest change in his reality. As your journey of conscious creation deepens, you will discover what Chen learned: that time is not a necessary component of manifestation. It exists only as a construct of belief, a self-imposed delay between intention and realization. One morning, as Chen prepared for his usual lengthy ritual to manifest rain for the drought-stricken valley, he noticed a small bird instantly changing direction in flight. In that moment he understood. Nature itself demonstrates that reality can shift in an instant. When you fully grasp that reality is simply consciousness expressing itself, you realize that elaborate processes are unnecessary. Just as you need no ritual to move your hand or change your thoughts, you need no ceremony to shift your external world. The gap between desire and manifestation exists only because you believe it must. This truth was further illuminated by the tale of Wei, a simple farmer who discovered that reality bent to his will as easily as a blade of grass bends in the wind. While others planned and worried, Wei would simply snap his fingers, a gesture that represented his absolute certainty, and watch as circumstances rearrange themselves accordingly. He had no doubt, no hesitation, and therefore no delay. The speed of manifestation is directly proportional to the completeness of your belief. When doubt exists, reality must navigate around it, creating what appears as time lag. But when certainty is absolute, reality shifts instantly because there are no opposing beliefs to resolve. This is why masters can manifest with a thought while beginners require practice and process. It is not that the masters have more power. They have simply eliminated the belief in delay. They understand that time is not a requirement for manifestation, but a reflection of resistance. The key to instant manifestation lies in what I call belief compression, the ability to collapse all doubt into pure certainty. When you can hold a thought with such clarity and conviction that no opposing beliefs exist, reality has no choice but to conform immediately. Begin with small manifestations that feel natural and believable. Choose something simple, perhaps a specific color or symbol appearing in your awareness. Hold the intention with absolute certainty, as if you're simply noticing something that already exists. Release all attachment to time or process. Simply know it is done. Practice this throughout your day, gradually increasing the complexity of your manifestations as your confidence grows. Each success reinforces your understanding that time is not a necessary component of creation. Keep in mind, reality requires no delay to shift its form. It merely awaits your complete and total conviction. The universe stands ready, like a loyal servant, to manifest your deepest certainties the moment they crystallize within your consciousness. Just as light fills a darkened room the instant you flip a switch, so too does reality conform to your unwavering belief, requiring no gradual transition or prolonged process. It simply is, because you know it to be so with absolute clarity. Chapter 25. Transcending the Illusion of Limits. In the ancient city of Alexandria, there lived a young man named Tarek who never ventured beyond the red line painted around the city's perimeter. Like all citizens, he believed crossing this boundary would bring certain death, a belief passed down through generations without question. Each morning, Tarek would walk to the line, stare at the vast desert beyond, and return to his familiar routines. Until one day, he encountered an old woman drawing circles in the sand with her staff. As he watched, she stepped over his sacred boundary without hesitation. "The line exists only in your mind," she said, turning to face him. "Like all limits, it lives solely in the realm of belief. You see, every boundary that appears to restrict your reality is nothing more than a thought given power through acceptance. These perceived limitations, whether physical, financial, or spiritual, are simply agreements you've made with yourself about what is possible. Consider how humanity once believed flight was impossible, that breaking the sound barrier would destroy an aircraft, that running a 4-minute mile was beyond human capability. Each of these unchangeable facts dissolved the moment someone refused to accept them as truth. This understanding was beautifully demonstrated by Hassan, a desert inventor who created machines that defied the accepted laws of nature. When scholars declared his designs impossible, he simply smiled and continued building. One by one, his impossible creations came to life, not because he broke any natural laws, but because he refused to accept artificial ones. The universe operates not by rigid rules, but by the power of consciousness. What appears immutable is simply what has been collectively accepted as unchangeable. But you hold the power to redefine these boundaries through the force of your belief. When you truly understand that limits are self-imposed, you realize that possibility expands in direct proportion to your willingness to question accepted boundaries. Every limit in your life exists only because you have consciously or unconsciously agreed to its existence. The ritual of boundary dissolution. Choose one significant limitation in your life, a belief that has restricted your movement in some way. It might be a financial ceiling, a physical constraint, or a social boundary. Sit in meditation and visualize this limit as a line drawn in sand. See yourself approaching it, feeling the familiar resistance. Now, with your hand, physically make an erasing motion while visualizing the line disappearing. Stand up and physically step forward, declaring, "This boundary exists only in thought, and I choose to withdraw my belief in its power." For the next 7 days, act as though this limitation never existed. Make decisions, take actions, and think thoughts from this new position of freedom. Watch as reality reshapes itself to match your expanded beliefs. Chapter 26. Programming the Future. In a small village by the sea lived a writer named Rashid, who spent his days crafting stories in his weathered journal. Each morning he would write detailed accounts of what he believed would happen in his life. "Today will bring only rejection," he would write, and indeed his manuscripts would return unopened. "The fish will not bite," he would note, and his nets would come up empty. One stormy evening, as he prepared to write his usual predictions of misfortune, the ink from his pen began to flow backward, forming new words on its own. "Today, I will discover something extraordinary." Startled, he closed the journal, but when he ventured out that night, he found a chest of ancient scrolls washed up on the shore. The scrolls revealed a profound truth. Your future is not a destination you arrive at. It is a reality you program in advance through the stories you tell yourself. Every thought, every word, every belief you hold about what lies ahead serves as a command to the universal consciousness. This truth manifests in the eternal law of the self-fulfilling prophecy. What you deeply believe about your future becomes the blueprint from which reality builds. Your consciousness does not simply observe time, it shapes it, molds it, programs it through expectation and belief. Consider the tale of Maya, the master builder, who would spend days laying invisible foundations in the air with her hands. Others mocked her empty gestures until, weeks later, magnificent structures would appear exactly where she had traced their outline. When asked her secret, she would say, "I do not build with stone and wood. I build with certainty and vision. The physical structure simply fills the energetic blueprint I have already created. The future exists as infinite potential, waiting to be crystallized by your conscious choice." Every moment you are programming tomorrow through the thoughts you think today. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the fundamental mechanism by which reality operates. The ritual of future programming. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your consciousness to expand beyond the present moment. Visualize yourself standing before a vast screen of light. This is the canvas of your future. As you raise your hands, feel yourself holding the power to program this screen with absolute precision. Begin to write in the air, encoding your desired future into the fabric of reality. Feel each word, each intention, each outcome being embedded into the quantum field. Speak your future into existence with unwavering certainty. This is now programmed into the universal consciousness. It is done. Seal this programming by placing your hand over your heart, acknowledging that what you have written in the field of infinite potential must now manifest in physical form. Chapter 27. Reality Reprogramming. In a quiet monastery among ancient mountains, a young musician named Ravi practiced the same melancholic melody day after day. The tune had been passed down through generations, its somber notes echoing the struggles and limitations of those who came before. Though the melody brought tears to listeners' eyes, it also kept them bound to old stories of lack and suffering. One morning, as Ravi's fingers moved automatically across the strings, a shaft of sunlight illuminated his instrument. In that moment, he realized he was not bound to play the songs of the past. With trembling hands, he began to compose a new melody, one of possibility and abundance. As the fresh notes filled the air, the very walls of the monastery seemed to shift and brighten. You see, every thought pattern, every belief, every habitual response is like a note in the song of your reality. These patterns run deep, etched into your neural pathways and energetic field through years of repetition. But just as Ravi discovered, you have the power to compose an entirely new symphony. Consider the tale of Amira, a merchant who spoke only of scarcity and competition. "The market is tight," she would say. "Customers are few." Her words became the architecture of her experience until one day, She noticed how her language shaped her reality. She began to speak differently. "Abundance flows easily," she declared. "Opportunities multiply daily." Within weeks, her entire world transformed to match her new narrative. The final key to mastery lies not in learning more techniques, but in fundamentally rewriting the operating system of your consciousness. Every limitation you experience was installed through repetition and belief. These are not immutable laws. They are simply programs running in the background of your awareness. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you have programmed as truth. Your neural pathways, your energetic signature, your very DNA shift in response to sustained thought and belief. This is not metaphor. It is the mechanics of consciousness itself. The reset ritual. Sit in absolute stillness and imagine yourself accessing the root directory of your consciousness. See each limiting belief as a line of code that can be rewritten. One by one, identify the old programs. Life is hard. Success requires struggle. I am not enough. Now, with the authority of your awakened awareness, delete these outdated files. Replace each one with new code. Life flows effortlessly. Success is my natural state. I am infinite potential expressed in form. Feel these new programs installing themselves at the deepest level of your being. Your entire reality must now reconstruct itself around these new core truths. This is not just visualization. It is conscious reality reprogramming at the quantum level. Chapter 28. Breaking the Simulation. In the depths of night, a dreamer named Thomas found himself wandering through a vast labyrinth. Each turn revealed new challenges, new fears, new obstacles that seemed insurmountable. As he reached what appeared to be another dead end, something extraordinary occurred. He became aware that he was dreaming. In that moment of lucidity, Thomas realized a profound truth. He wasn't trapped in the labyrinth. He was creating it. With this awareness, the walls began to shift and transform. What had seemed solid and imposing now became as fluid as water, responding to his thoughts and intentions. He discovered that every obstacle, every shadow, every path had emerged from his own consciousness. You see, this physical reality operates in much the same way. What appears solid and unchangeable is actually a projection of consciousness, your consciousness. The world you experience is not happening to you. It is happening from you. Every circumstance, every condition, every seeming limitation exists only because you have accepted it as real. Consider the tale of Marcus, a philosopher who spent decades studying the nature of existence. He observed that whenever he believed life to be harsh, the universe presented evidence to support this belief. When he believed in scarcity, scarcity manifested. Yet when he shifted his fundamental assumptions, reality shifted to match them with perfect precision. The final veil to pierce is the illusion that anything exists outside of your consciousness. There is no external world imposing itself upon you. There is only consciousness taking form. Your deepest assumptions about reality become the blueprint from which the universe constructs your experience. This is not merely philosophical theory. It is the operating principle of existence itself. Just as a dreamer can alter their dream by becoming lucid, you can alter physical reality by becoming conscious of your role as its creator. The lucid reality technique. Choose any aspect of your current reality that you wish to shift. Rather than trying to change it through action or force, simply alter your fundamental assumption about its nature. If you've assumed that money is scarce, switch instantly to the assumption that abundance flows naturally. If you've assumed that relationships are difficult, Shift to the assumption that love comes easily. Don't wait for evidence. Your assumption creates the evidence. Don't look for proof. Your consciousness is the proof. Simply step into the absolute knowing that reality is as malleable as a dream, and watch as the physical world reshapes itself to match your new assumption. This is not mere visualization or positive thinking. It is the ancient art of conscious reality creation through the direct manipulation of your base assumptions about existence. You're not simply imagining a better future or hoping for change. You're wielding the sacred power to reshape the very fabric of your experience through the deliberate transformation of your deepest beliefs about the nature of reality itself. Chapter 29. The Infinite Creative Playground. In a sun-drenched studio, there lived an artist named Adrian who painted only within carefully drawn lines. Each stroke was measured, each color chosen with careful restraint. He created beautiful works, yet something was missing: the wild freedom of true creation. One morning, as he prepared another cautious masterpiece, his brush slipped, creating an imperfect streak across the canvas. In that moment, something awakened within him. Instead of starting over, he began to paint with abandon, letting his imagination soar beyond all perceived limitations. His art transformed, becoming alive with an energy that touched all who witnessed it. You see, reality itself is your canvas, and you have been painting with careful strokes, believing in invisible boundaries. But these boundaries exist only in your mind. When you truly grasp this, every moment becomes an opportunity for unlimited creation. Consider the story of Sophia, a dancer who performed in an empty theater. For years, she moved with rigid precision, imagining critical eyes watching her every step. Her dance was technically perfect, but lacked the spark of true expression. One evening, as she prepared to perform her usual routine, she had a revelation. The audience she feared existed only in her mind. In that moment, she began to dance with complete freedom, her movements flowing from pure joy rather than fear of judgment. Her dance became an expression of infinite possibility, unconstrained by imagined limitations. These stories reflect a fundamental truth. The only rules governing your reality are the ones you choose to accept. Your experience of life is shaped not by external forces, but by the stories you tell yourself about what is possible. When you release these self-imposed restrictions, you step into your true power as a conscious creator. The Creative Expansion Practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow yourself to imagine the most expansive version of yourself, one who knows no limits, fears no judgment, and creates freely. See this version of you moving through life with complete freedom, unbound by conventional rules or societal expectations. Now open your eyes and begin moving through your day as this limitless version of yourself. Make decisions from this expanded state of being. Speak from this place of freedom. Create from this space of infinite possibility. Remember, you are not becoming something new. You are simply allowing yourself to be who you truly are, unlimited by the stories of limitation you once accepted as truth. In this sacred moment of recognition, you are shedding the layers of doubt and fear that have concealed your divine nature. Like a flower breaking through soil to reach the sun, you are emerging into the full expression of your infinite potential, embracing the boundless being you have always been beneath the surface of perceived constraints. Chapter 30. You hold the master key. In the heart of an ancient temple, there lived a seeker named Rumi who devoted his life to finding the legendary master key, an artifact said to grant ultimate power over reality. He journeyed across distant lands, studied with renowned sages, and collected countless sacred texts, Yet, after decades of searching, the key remained elusive. One evening, as Rumi sat in meditation, his hand unconsciously moved to his chest. There, beneath his fingers, he felt a steady pulse, not just of his heart, but of something deeper. In that moment, everything became clear. The key he had searched for wasn't hidden in some far-off temple or ancient scroll. It had been within him all along, beating in rhythm with his very existence. You see, this truth has been whispering to you throughout your journey. Every principle, every practice, every revelation has led you to this singular understanding. You are the source of all creation. The power you seek is not external. It is the very essence of who you are. Consider the tale of Maya, an apprentice who spent years at the feet of great masters, believing they held the secrets she needed. She performed every ritual, memorized every teaching, and still felt something was missing. One day, her final master looked into her eyes and spoke words that shattered her world. You were the master all along. Everything you sought from us was merely a reflection of what already exists within you. This is the ultimate truth. There is no force outside of you shaping your reality. Your consciousness, your intention, your alignment are the only tools needed for creation. You are not merely a participant in the grand dance of existence. You are the choreographer, the dancer, and the dance itself. The final mastery ritual. Stand before a mirror in a quiet space. Place your hand over your heart, the seat of your inner wisdom. Look into your own eyes and speak these words with unwavering conviction. I now recognize and reclaim my power as the conscious creator of my reality. I understand that every experience, every circumstance, every manifestation flows from within me. I am not seeking power. I am power itself. I am not learning to create. I am creation itself. From this moment forward, I step fully into my role as the architect of my existence, knowing that the master key to all creation beats within my own heart. So it is, and so it shall be. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The world you once perceived as solid and unchangeable now reveals itself as fluid and responsive. Every street you walk, every person you meet, every situation you encounter is not random. It is a direct reflection of your consciousness made manifest. The veil has been lifted, and you see reality for what it truly is, a canvas awaiting your creative touch. Think back to how you once moved through life, believing that circumstances happened to you, that you were at the mercy of external forces. Now you understand, those limitations were merely shadows cast by old beliefs. As you step forward into each moment, you recognize that what appears before you is not chance, but choice. Your thoughts are no longer mere mental activity. They are the blueprints of tomorrow taking shape. The coffee shop where you sit reading these words, the chair supporting you, the very air you breathe, all of it exists in response to your energetic signature. That person who just walked in wearing the exact color you were thinking about, not a coincidence but a reflection of your creative force at work. The opportunity that suddenly appears, not luck, but the natural result of your aligned consciousness. You now understand why certain patterns kept repeating in your life. They were echoes of your sustained beliefs. But in this new paradigm, you no longer wait for life to change. You change it. With each breath, you consciously direct the flow of creation. With each step, you imprint your intention upon the quantum field. The power you've awakened to isn't something you need to strain to access. It flows naturally, like breathing. Every moment is an opportunity for conscious creation. Every interaction is a chance to shape reality anew. The world bends and shifts in response to your awareness, not because you force it, but because that is its natural state, to conform to the consciousness that observes it. This is not about controlling reality through force or manipulation. It is about allowing your natural creative power to flow unimpeded. You are not learning to create. You are remembering that you have always been creating. Every experience you've ever had was shaped by this power, whether you were aware of it or not. Now, as you move through your days, you do so with the full knowledge that you are the architect of every experience. There is nothing to chase, nothing to seek, nothing to wait for. You are the source, the creator, the builder of worlds. This is not a responsibility to bear. It is a freedom to embrace. For in this new understanding, you recognize that you were never meant to chase reality. You were meant to build it. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.